So we're going to bring in Boris. Boris is joining us from Teleport. Shout out to Katarina, one of my favorite people on the planet. We used to work together at Portworx. So you're so lucky to be working with one of the absolute best in the business. Boris, can you just say anything so we can make sure your mic's working?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay.
And if you have slides to share, if you want to share those, and then we'll add them, and then we'll duck out.
And thanks for your patience. We got a little bit behind in our agenda today, but really appreciate you sticking around. Well, we're running a few minutes late.
Let's see.
Okay, I think, was it that one?
There we go. All right.
All right, we got
Great.
you. Okay, great.
Off
We'll
you
duck
go.
out. Take it away.
All right. Hi, everybody. It seems like it's been a really fun day, and it's nice to see actually chat engaging and having a great conversation. I've been jumping in and out throughout the day. So obviously, AI is going to dominate the conversation. I am going to try and not be boring and try and not to reiterate too much. But ultimately, what I wanted to talk about is what I am seeing in the field as people are trying to actually, run this in production, run it at an enterprise level, right outside of okay, we played around with it, we did some things, and a couple of our smart guys build a system, and now what? Because that's where, generally speaking, where everybody kind of gets stuck with any new tech. This was the case when Cube was fresh and new. This was the case when VMware and VMs in general were fresh and new. And it's going to be the case with whatever our next innovational leap is. But before that, why you should listen to me? Well, I'm a plumber. I carry a big tool bag. I have been unclogging the tubes of the internet for a very long time. But more importantly, I am one of the one of the leads for the CNCF AI TCG. Shout out if you haven't joined, go find us on the CNCF Slack and join our weekly discussions. And if you would like to present there, also come chat to me. But let's just talk about the complexity that we have uncovered through AI. I think everybody understands the problem or will understand the problem that we're facing. Everybody has been thinking about this thing called identity in a very encapsulated and singular way. What I mean by that is I have been, partaken in this mental state as well of like, I have a database problem. I'm going to buy some products to fix my database identity problem. I have a CI/CD problem. I'm going to offload my CI/CD pipelines and find a new way to load secrets and environment variables and what have you. I have an AWS problem. I am now going to have even more identity problems than I knew what to do with before. Throwing SSH, throwing MCP. And all of them are ultimately leading to what AI needs, right? AI wants context. In order for you to be able to do any sort of work, you ultimately want to have access to context. And all of your data sources are that context. In order for Boris or anybody to be, Adriana, to do something with all the prompt writing that we do, with all of the planning that we do, at the end of the day, you are not simply just saying, hey, with whatever knowledge you currently have, go solve my problem. You drop, again, increased context. And now is, this kind of loop that AI has enabled for us is what has gotten us in trouble. We are now very much struggling because what is happening is that all of these different systems that we work with have their own notion of an identity, have their own understanding of RBAC, have their own understanding of security controls, and no amount of guardrailing, no amount of prompt guidelines will truly solve the problem of if an AI never has access to something, or you have the tools to build the access control for the AI, it will never delete your production database, even though you had told it in however many ways not to do that, right? Obviously, I'm throwing shade at the yesterday's news, but it is one of, I don't know, a daily feed of AI did this or that, even though it was told not to. So the identity issue, the fragmentation of identity, combined with every system has its own identity, is where the complexity becomes extremely problematic for everybody that is trying to ingest more context. Now, I know this next slide makes me also cringe, but we did release as a company, and I am obviously here as part of Teleport, but this is a completely open source project. We released a framework. Now, everybody is releasing frameworks these days. Everybody's talking about frameworks. Everybody's telling you this is how you're going to secure AI. This is actually how we internally are consuming AI in a sane manner, right? And we looked at it and packaged it up and put it out on the out into the wild for anybody that is trying to build, to be able to take these Lego blocks and build what they want. But at the end of the day, all of it is based on things like Spiffy, right? Big CNCF project, big proponent of being able to identify any endpoint in your system and being able to give identity to any point in your system, and thus bringing order to the chaos that we currently live in. And then from there, once you have the identity piece solved, you can now start talking about delegation of identity. And if anybody is really deep into the community, there is a big kind of divide on how delegation and on behalf of should be solved. But ultimately, as long as you have the tools in place to create identity for humans and non-humans, which Spiffy can do, as long as you're able to attach that cryptographic identity to the endpoints that you want and then use it to create controls, which you can encode in Spiffy, you can now do delegations. You can now have do long-running agents. You can do IDP integrations for your LLM apps. And thank you, Michael, for dropping the Spiffy link in chat. I guess I should have done that in my own slides. But again, all of these things you can now use to create MCP catalogs instead of, okay, well, now I need light LLM to do my LLMing, but I need to figure out how I'm going to do my MCP gatewaying, but I also need to do X, Y, and Z. You can actually have an all-in-one system that can control all of these things for you. And again, ultimately, at the end of the day, give you an easy way to access context. Like, to me, from my experience, getting to context is the ultimate problem that AI is running into, right? It is, how do I make sure that my HR department has a similar experience to my developers, to my finance, to my anybody who is trying to consume tools. All right. So why am I hawking the framework here? And again, everybody has frameworks. This just happens to work at an enterprise level, and I think people are struggling with that problem a lot at the moment. Ultimately, it gives you the Lego blocks to put together and connect, so you can actually let something loose in a system and know that it cannot explicitly cause an action, or that it is not been authorized to do without a human in the loop, if you want to, or even an automated process that passes some sort of checks and balances before it gives it RMRF or drop table permissions to do whatever it is that it was trying to do and solve for you. And what are the foundational pieces of all of this? Zero trust. I will come back to zero trust. Everything, again, is a spiffy certificate, which means it's an X509 certificate, which means that I am carrying a cryptographic identity of who I am, what I am, why I am, and define. And you can audit and control all of this. So I know I am over my time, so I am going to drop a link to all of this. Yeah, I will drop a link to all of this when I am off camera. But I thank you all, and again, sorry for going over my time, but hopefully, you know, I'm getting you to at least think a little bit more about the identity problem that is ultimately your context problem.
Great. Thank you
and
so much.
Definitely put the links in the chat. That would be awesome. And yeah, thank you. And please say hello to the amazing Katarina for us.
Will do. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.